Where I'm from, Blue Blink is the most popular and mainstream anime from Osamu Tezuka. Non-anime fans know this anime. It is synonymous with anyone who grew up in the 90s as it aired in 1992 in my country. For most of us, it is our first Tezuka anime. It's ironic because this was his last work. I know who Tezuka is before Blue Blink, who doesn't, but Blue Blink is my first time watching an anime made by him, especially during middle school. It was our Alice in Wonderland, and to this day, I think of Blue Blink whenever I see anything related to Alice's premise. I wasn't over the moon with it, but it sure drove me to the TV. It is the quintessential children's anime, kids continually talking about it in school, but it had a dark spot for me, and it is the ending, which I'll talk about it later. When I was a kid, I despised it, and always felt that the story means nothing because of it. I used it as an example of lousy anime endings, but upon rewatching it over the years, I don't resent it anymore, and the conclusion that bothered me became why I love Blue Blink. Fast forward to the year 2000, I decided to buy the PC Engine at the local video game store I always visit. I got the RX Duo, which is the ultimate PC Engine that plays the card and CD games. And as I was buying every PC Engine game in the store to go along with the system, I saw the Blue Blink game, and I couldn't believe it. This anime received a video game? I felt the same when I discovered the Dodge Denpei games in high school. I love that feeling. Finding out that an anime I love have video games, it is still one of my favorite feelings. So I got home and played Blue Blink first before all the shooters and the essential games for the system, and I fell in love with the PC Engine. More on that later in the video. For now, let's discuss the anime. So, Blue Blink is a fantasy anime directed by Osamu Tezuka in 1989. Mr. Tezuka passed away while making the anime on February 9th, 1989, 2 months before the April 7th pilot episode. Still, the Tezuka production studio did not stray away from his plans and delivered what he wanted to do. The series ran for 39 episodes with a fantastic cast. We have the voice of Goku Masako Nozawa as the main character Kakero, and many more like the voice of Ankokutai Shogun Kenichi Ogata. And I just discovered this. Blue Blink originated from a story by a Russian author, and it is called The Little Humpbacked Horse, which is a beloved Russian story. That's amazing, I never knew that. I did not read it, and I won't make any comparisons. I will only focus on the anime and the video game. It is challenging to summarize the plot given how the story is odd, similar to a dream, so I'll partially talk about the first episode. The story starts with Kakero riding the train as he's returning to his dad's home, the rider Shiki Hariko. Then this giant entity called Emperor Gross attacks the train Kakero's in, and that's when he explains that this is the main antagonist of his father's books. Then the kid wakes up and it was all a dream. Then we see his father struggling with the publishers as they don't want him to publish his next book and should work on another series, and he refuses. Kakero then finds a blue ball of fur, takes it to his father and explains to him that this resembles a character in his books. He is right, and it's a blue pony that has magical powers, feeds on electricity, and does everything like giving you courage. The next day, we see a giant golden horse out of nowhere as it battles Kakero. Then a group of bikers kidnaps the father, and the pony now speaks, goes by the name of Blink, and the golden horse was the mother. Kakero can summon Blink by calling its name 3 times, although not really used later in the series. Then they start following the bike tracks in the forest, which turns into a highway. Suddenly they sink into this water swamp in the middle of the road and meet a bus with the other 3 main characters, Tamba, Nichi, and Sachi, as they drive to another world, and it's where the bikers have taken Haruhiko. Emperor Gross owns this world, and they are a real empire. Haruhiko was writing about them unintentionally in his stories because he has telepathic powers, and they want him to stop publishing his next book because it contains the secret to the empire. Yep, that is the first episode, and it is the only way for me to explain the story. Thus, the journey begins for Kakero to save his father in this bizarre wonderland, going from town to town, basically playing cat and mouse to rescue his father. I say this a lot, but this world is imaginative, relatable, and full of variety. Each location has its own story, and they have a different identity and theme, ranging from towns, forests, hills, and islands. And there are over 20 of them. None felt repetitive, and it's a new journey every time with a different message. It is unbelievable because repetition is bound to happen in episodic stories, but Blue Blink is one of those shows that prove is not always the case when Tezuka is involved, and it goes back to the 60s with Dororo. At the same time, the sense of progression is there because they do reference previous episodes. Every theme imaginable is present, like westerns, fairy tales, and sci-fi. Nothing looks or feels the same. So the anticipation of what is the next episode going to be like remains until the finale. And in that, I was introduced to different genres, character traits, and lessons. The build-up to save Haruhiko and facing Emperor Gross can't be any better. Each episode gives us a hint on the bigger picture, make the threat more dangerous. So when the payoff happens in the end, it is a big event. I feel that with every episodic anime, and the reason why I love this format. Whenever the showdown happens, I shake with excitement, and I felt that with Grandizer and Compiler V to Sailor Moon. And Blue Blink never fails in that, but excels in it because of its ending, and how the final arc is the last 10 episodes, with the final 7 feeling like a one big episode. The journey is the classic storytelling of anime, a kid on a mission to save his father. The sense of adventure never faded, and when this bus trip ended, I felt how long and vast it was, and I legit got depressed. I usually get that feeling when I finish a long JRPG. That is the most obvious sign that this anime won my heart. Those final 10 episodes are worth it alone to watch the series, one of the most satisfying concluding arcs as the tone changes by the end to become more mature with clever writing and revelations. All the 6 main characters start with the typical character traits, and by the end, they are a shell of their former self. Their evolution is one of the reasons why this journey is entertaining. Kakero is a coward and slowly stops relying on Blink's powers to make him brave. Tanba is a narrow-minded bus driver and ends up as the big brother for Kakero. Nichi and Sachi only care about stealing Blink, and we figure out how they are too good to be thieves. Kirara is the spoiled princess and thinks money solves every problem, then stops caring about money if it involves her friends. And Blink is the magical creature that helped all of these characters to grow and being the voice of reason. The animation side of things is decent, nothing special except for major scenes, and it is expected from a TV anime back then. What shines the most is the art and character designs. The world looks like a children's color book. Visiting a new town seizes my attention instantly. Probably one of the most vibrant shows in the 80s. Everything looks bright and rich with detail. It feels like we are in a child's head with how eccentric and weird everything is. If you only watch the first episode, you will notice how this anime is colorful and eye-catching. The character design is the best thing in Blue Blink. Everyone looks different, and there are unique ones in every episode, like fairies and monsters. There is everything. They stick with you forever. It did with me. I never forgot how these characters look, and I know people who did not watch this anime for 30 years and instantly remember the characters with a smile on their face. That screams unforgettable, and it is the most compelling thing about Blue Blink. Since the entire premise is visiting a new place every episode, I couldn't help myself but do a top 5 favorite locations. Number 5, Rainbow Town in episode 14, the city governed by children. It's a place where children move there to live and work if they hate their parents. They have ruthless laws against adults. If you make a child cry, you'll get a life prison sentence or an execution, and there is an intriguing mystery on what is going on. This episode is a Children of the Corn in anime form. Number 4, Blue Town in episode 6, the home of the workaholics. People tend to work and not rest at all. Their lifestyle is all about the rush, like making fast shoes and quick snacks to save time on eating. Then we have the cutest character in the anime, the Love Fairy, born from a fruit tree. She makes people more laid back and happy, which pisses off the tax collectors of the town. Number 3, Kobalat Island in episode 8. The queen of this island is one sick individual. It is basically a ghost town, and the queen kidnaps people and puts them under an illusion of their virgin of heaven. Blink is not affected by it and spends the episode trying to convince Kakero of the situation. The queen takes the life force of these people to prolong her life. Spooky and amusing episode. Number 2, the Sepia Forest in episode 10. This episode is the full package. The group meets the girl Poron who wants the life mushroom that heals all diseases, so they go to the sepia forest to attain it. But it's not a simple task. The woods are under control of its tiny people that remind me of Moomin. We see golems and fireball monsters, making it the most fantastical and fairy tale-like episode in this series. And my number one favorite location in the anime, the Gross Empire. This has to be my favorite. The road to reach the Empire explores the lore of the world even further. A long quest to reach the hidden Empire, and it's worth it. It's a dimensional realm that lasts multiple episodes. It is vast enough to be a separate world, making it my favorite location in the anime. At first, the story lacks common sense. Tamba coincidentally drives where Kekiro needs to go. It all feels off, and logic, for the lack of a better word, is out of the window. It is all intentional when you see the ending and figure out that this is an Alice in Wonderland type of storytelling. Gross doesn't kill Haruhiko but imprisons him, and that is weird from the first episode. He can just kill him and win easily. But in the end, it turns out that Haruhiko's alter ego, his dark side, is Gross. He represents the evil characters Haruhiko writes, and as time went on, that side grew and became more powerful. That is the reason why Gross can't kill him. They are the same person. Whenever Haruhiko writes, it affects the world because it is his creation. So the final episodes are the battle of the gods of this world. Gross tries to destroy the group, and Haruhiko writes countering scenarios to save them. Then he decides to fuse with Gross because that is the only way to be whole, to embrace our yin and yang. He reveals his identity to Kekiro and he is in full dismay. Still, his friends tell him how his father is brave enough to show his other side, that every person has an Emperor Gross in them, but they never show it. But Haruhiko did, making him one of the best fathers in anime. Once the full acceptance is complete, the world falls apart and started to fade, and Kekiro says his farewell to Blink, which is a tearjerker. Then he wakes up and the entire journey is a dream. All the events are fragments of Haruhiko's stories that Kekiro read and adding his twist to them. Then his father gives him his next book as a present, and the title is Blue Blink, containing all the characters from his dream. Haruhiko tells him that as long as you learned or changed from something, it is true, even if it's a dream. That is the message that encompasses the entire career of Osamu Tezuka, and I am happy that this is the central message of his final work. It can't be more perfect. We can use this mentality with manga, anime, literature, everything. If we change because of them, they are real to us. Now I got the anime out of the way, let me fanboy over my first PC Engine game. Hudson developed the game and released it a month after the anime ended. It's a run-and-gun side-scroller. From the title screen's impressive sprite work and the game's colorful graphics, I know this is going to be a fun, high-quality 8-bit video game. The game's goal is not straightforward, however. Let me explain. There are 5 main overworlds with multiple stages each, and they are Rose Town from episode 3, Ivory Town from episode 4, Yellow Town from episode 5, Rainbow Town from episode 14, and the Gross Empire for the final world. You can freely traverse through the stages to do some backtracking. To finish each world, you need to find the hidden red key. This key will grant you access to battle the boss of each level. This game is relatively on the easy side, but I have one piece of advice. Repeat a short and simple stage to collect as much coins as possible. The more you obtain them, the more hearts you gain. Doing so will make the boss battles much easier, especially against Gross. Pressing the select button makes you switch characters. Each has a different ability. Kekiro is standard, Tanba has a high, heavy projectiles, Kirara jumps higher like Peach, and Nichi and Sachi have spread and whatever that is. You need all of them to advance through the game, and I love that. Although you can finish the first 3 worlds with Kekiro alone, a bit harder, it is possible. Once you reach Rainbow Town, you need the other abilities. The boss battles are all villains from the anime, and they are fun to play against with excellent detailed sprites, although their place in the game doesn't match the anime. In Rose Town, you battle Prince Horo, but in the anime, Kekiro fights him in Berigian Village. The fireball monster boss in Rainbow Town is actually from the Sepia Forest, and so on. Only the boss battles of Dogizora and Yellow Town and Gross are in the right location from the anime. I love this game. It's accessible and never dull. The controls are tight, colorful graphics, and superb music. It's not a hidden gem or anything. A game needs to be fun for me. That is all. I don't have high standards. I play this game from time to time and finish it in one sitting. Years later, and it's still a relaxing experience. Although I do wish it was a JRPG instead. The world lends itself to be one. Multiple towns and forests, fetch quests to reach the Gross Empire. What could have been? Going down memory lane while making this video was fun. Story with heart, lovable characters, and a world brimming with creativity. Although not his best work, it combines everything that made Osamu Tezuka a pioneer of manga and anime, and I'm lucky to have this as my first anime from him. My generation always cracks a smile whenever someone mentions Blue Blink. That doesn't happen often. It is why childhood memories of anime or video games connect a full generation. We might not have similar interests, but we all remember that Blue Blink gave us a good time. It is perfect for all ages because it's about embracing our inner vision, and everyone benefits from that. We embrace our thoughts, turn it to imagination, then transforms into an experience that shapes us as people.